I'm with my friend Andy from the UK. We're cruising around in his 34-foot sailboat called Lil Bubsy. Currently, we're on the island of Formentera, Spain. In today's episode, we get underway for a 30-plus hour passage back to mainland Spain. So Andy's just doing a quick check of the engine. Let's check on him what he's doing.
Yeah, so every day before we start the engine, I always just get in here and check the oil level and then also the coolant level. So I do this just by lifting out these two pieces here, and this is a Volvo MD 2030. Really good conditions, held up really well, never had any issues with it as of yet. It runs really smooth. So we do that. So here is the coolant cap here. So you basically just open that up, and then I just check that we've got about that level in. So it's like a pink colour because we've got pink coolant in there, and yeah, that's all good. I don't have an expansion tank on this engine. I just have like a little bottle here, so you get like the odd little bit of water there. So if there's any in there, I just take that out and I just pour it back in. Some of the more modern versions of this engine come with an expansion tank, so basically when this gets like really hot inside here and the pressure gets quite high, the coolant will enter into an expansion tank and then drip back in afterwards. But I don't have that, so I've just got this type of technology, which is a plastic bottle. So I just pour that back in there and then we're good to go with that. So yeah, the other thing I do is I just check the engine. This engine has been sitting still for like quite a few days now, so whatever level is on here is probably the correct level, and you can see that's like pretty clean, nice looking oil. It's within the area of where it should be, just a bit below maximum, which is quite good, and it's got a good consistency to it. There's nothing bad in there. I changed the engine oil probably only about 10 hours ago, something like that. Yeah, after we did the crossing over here where we motored for like 4 days, I think we put like 50 hours on it or something like that, continuous. So yeah, I just thought let's change the oil, make it nice and new. So yeah, everything's looking good here. Another good thing to do is just check the alternator belt at this point. Just make sure that you've not got too much flex. That's quite fine there. A little bit of flex is good. You don't want it too tight because it puts too much pressure on this bolt. And also the pin which holds it in place, but just like maybe a wobble up about that much is okay. And yeah, this looks fine. There's no leaks around the fuel injectors, everything looks good, so yeah, we're good to go.
Alright, now that we've checked the engine, let's run into town and grab some breakfast and some provisions before we head out. Yeah, we're just talking about we're definitely going to miss this little restaurant cafe we found with the view. It's actually a part of a hotel, but it's really reasonably priced food, really excellent food, but you also get this view in addition. We made it back to the boat, and Lil Bubsy seems to have found a friend. Check out the name of the boat anchored just in front of us. Can you read it? It's Bubsy. Pretty funny. So we're just going to get the dinghy prepped to bring it onto the deck before the sail over to the mainland. So we're getting ready to take off on the main, well, kind of our big sailing trip for this whole thing. But let me see if I could ask Andy to look at his iPad to talk about the route.
yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for a good sale. Yeah, so we've got this thing plugged into Navionics now, which is like pretty the pretty standard like chart plotter system that you can download online and use on like any of your normal electronics. So this is the route we're taking. This is where we are now. Well, we're actually here, we're not there. I've just sent the first waypoint, or the start point for there anyway. But yeah, this is where we are right now. This is the port of Formentera. This is where all the ferries come in. So we are anchored up just here in yeah, about 3.5 to 4 meters. So this is pretty accurate. We're 300 millimeters higher with the tide that we've got at the moment. So yeah, we're just probably going to sail over to that point there, or maybe we'll motor to that point there, I don't know. And this is our start point, and then from this start point, if you click on here, we need to head on a bearing of 223 degrees, and then that will take us I think about 60 miles. We're heading on this bearing to the first waypoint here, and then yeah, we're just going to make our way down the coast of Spain. We come quite close to land when we get just offshore of Cartagena. Hopefully we can get some like data and some Wi-Fi there or whatever. Sorry, not Wi-Fi, some data, and like we can pick up a little update on predict wind. And we're kind of taking like a weird, jagged type of route, and the reason being for that is because we use the application predict wind, which gives you the perfect route. Now I've got this set up for a combination of like comfort and speed, and we generally follow the blue one, because the blue one, which I think is the PWG, that tends to be the most accurate for the Mediterranean, or at least this part of the Mediterranean anyway. And you can actually see the journey that we're taking here. So this is the trip that we're going to be making, and yeah, the boat is set on the blue line there. So we've just like tried to plug that into Navionics, so it mirrors like this type of route a little bit as well. So that's the journey that we're taking. So
how's the wind and stuff looking on that?
Well, it's looking mostly in between like yellow and green. So you can see it's going to be between like 15 and 20 knots the entire way, gusting up to like, I don't know, 23 at the most, which, you know, for a downwind sail is pretty perfect. That should be great conditions. So yeah, that's the trip. I think we're on about 36 hours, something like that. We've got it listed as exactly 200 nautical miles, but I think it's about 220 by the time like we had leaving the port and getting into the anchorage. And yeah, I think predict wind has got us on an average of about 5.9 knots, something like that.
So Andy's going to pull up the anchor, and I'm going to move it forward a bit. And we're off sailing. Not quite the winds that we had from predict wind, but I think it'll pick up. We're getting a little bit blocked here by the island as far as wind goes, but it's going to pick up throughout the evening, I think. But it's very comfortable. Look at these. Look at the seas. Perfect.
This is what med sailing is all about. You go on the forecast, you go on windy, and then you don't get anything like it.
Andy went ahead and reefed the mainsail just to get ready for nighttime. Always important not to be surprised in the middle of the night, you know, so it's better to go ahead and reef right as the sun's going down to prepare. Yeah, nice. Genoa's full of air, full of wind. The instruments say we're making about 4.6 knots. So looking good. We have our bearing right on course. Goodbye to our beautiful anchorage from the last 2 nights right there.
Yeah, the Paradise Anchorage. So we've got some natural peanut butter and some sugar-free chocolate hazelnut spread. I'm thinking about putting them on a sandwich. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. See? Cheers.
Oh wow.
Very nice.
This is a little bit more of the winds we were expecting. We're at 16, 17 knots with gusts a little bit above 20 knots, going 6.7 knots, hitting sometimes 7 knots of speed. Pretty nice. I don't know if you can tell on the back, but the waves are getting pretty big as well.
Yeah, pretty good. Just watched a beautiful sunset. That was really nice. And yeah, we've got some decent sized waves, but they're actually like pushing us on our rear quarter in the right direction, so all good so far.
Yeah.
All going very nice.
Just checking in with you guys. It's my first stint at the night watch. About 10 p.m. the first night. So far going well. Getting about 15 knots of wind. The wind is perfect, but we are getting a pretty good swell, so it's rocking the boat pretty good. We're kind of at a diagonal, surfing down the waves, but they're pretty frequent waves, so it's making it's definitely making the ride pretty rolly. Wish I could kind of show you that on the camera, but it's probably not going to show up. So it's just continually back and forth. Yeah, it's hard to translate to the camera. Let's put this on. There's a white light. Maybe that's better. That's better. I don't know if I can show you these waves. Yeah, nothing showing up, but it feels good though to be out on the water. I'm losing the sight of the land. It was supposed to be close to a full moon, but I don't see the moon out. I think there's some overcast. But yeah, we had a bit of a. It got above 20 knots of wind for a bit, and it was getting pretty rolly. We had to reef in the head sail a bit, and we're averaging like 5 knots of speed, so going well. It's actually the moon coming up in the distance. It's gonna be pretty big. I can show you out here. Probably about 6 a.m. It's been a brutal night. No sleep whatsoever for me. But the moon is really beautiful and bright. But yeah, it's finally kind of a little bit calmer than it has been. And it's still rocky as anything. Major waves. I want to see if I can somehow show you what's going on here. I'm going to show you the mast of this boat and how much movement there is, and you'll get an idea of just like it's like all night, just completely washing machine type of movements. We're steady around 16 knots of wind. We had some good gusts of like 23, 24 knots, and then combined with this crazy movement, it has not been pleasant. Now it's calmed down a little bit again. But we're making good time. We are right on course like we're wanting to be as far as time goes. Okay, check in about an hour when it gets light. Join us next episode for this. We can see land for the first time in mainland Spain. We didn't get any sleep at all last night, so we've decided to stop for the night at Cartagena.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Like we were looking at the swell, and we think like at some points it was getting up to like 3 or 4 meters. Like it was, yeah, it was pretty hairy out there. So I think we did about 15 hours of sailing, and we made like pretty good grounds. We were getting up to like 8 knots at some point, and then the wind just completely died. We went down to like 0 knots. So we've been motoring now for I think about 12 hours, and we're going to get into Cartagena Marina, I think in about 3 hours time, which is actually a really nice city, and they have the best pizza I've ever tasted in my life. So I'm not entirely disappointed that we've ended up motoring here.
Next episode, we make an unplanned stop in the cool town of Cartagena, Spain. Sometimes the best things come when it's not part of the original plan. So meet us here again next week.